Hey, Second Community, this is Steve, Grusis of Cycling Greek, and this is the Golden State Circuit Race, the third day of the 3 days of a Golden State Omnium. This is a 2.3-mile loop, which as far as I could tell, incorporates part of the Criterium course that happened on day 2. There are no hills, just more roads, so it's kind of like a really big Criterium. My last race was about 4 weeks ago, and because of my performance in that, I had to make some changes to my training plan and also to my body that I'll be talking about in a future video. This race was actually a test for me to see how I actually did with the training changes and body changes that I made recently. My goal in this race was to finish with the pack. To do that, I had to be on wheels, I had to stay out of the wind, and the wind was increasing as the day went on, and good thing that we started at 8:30 in the morning. And lastly, not to do anything stupid. This was a 60 plus 1-2-3s, and it was a pretty good sized field. There were 2 people that were over 70. That was myself and my buddy Brian, who's also district champion in the Criterium. Figuring there's nothing but fast in this group and not knowing what to expect, including being able to finish with the pack, I was both laying back a little too much and not taking corners as well as I could. And here's one example, not carrying enough speed into the corner, and I'm losing positions. And if you look at my rear-facing camera, pretty much there's only 3 people behind me right now. If you've been watching my channel, you probably know that my power meter's in my hub, in my training wheel hub. So no power data. And not only that, when I got to this race, I realized that I left my Garmin at home, so I'm racing with my iPhone. So no heart rate. I'm guessing by the extra breathing I was doing for most of the first half of the race, my heart rate's a little higher than I want it to be right now. Now the wind is coming from our right, but I'm taking this opportunity to move myself up because I don't want to be toward the back. I need a little buffer in case something happens. I should be on someone's wheel, but hopefully this is just an isolated incident. I get on Eric's wheel, he's a good solid rider, so I stick with him for a while. Because this was the 3rd day of a 3D Omnium, there was a lot of watching going on. And because of that, potential opportunities being taken. Me, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just worrying about being able to finish with the pack. And that's what's on my mind right now. I just want to be in a good position on people's wheels and toward the front. The pack is letting these guys go for the moment. It may be that these guys don't have points to be dangerous, or it may be that it's still very early in the race, and the pack will just let these guys burn for a little bit. Then again, maybe not, as we have attacks from both the left and the right side. The pack doesn't want to let these guys go. Now in the early chase, and probably because I don't have that much punch, a couple riders go past me, but then I'm able to get on their wheels, and now we're heading toward the S-turns. I need to slot in position and keep my speed up. Actually, we're in the middle of the S-turn. Once we come out of this corner, we're going to have a cross headwind coming from our right. I do much better with this corner. Now, if you look ahead, you'll see that we're all lined out. If you look at my rear camera, you can see that we're all lined out. I don't remember when, but it was in the first half where I had to make a decision to slow my breathing down because I was breathing too fast, I thought, for the situation. Okay, so now this is the S-turn. Now, the other one was an S-turn, but it was a longer S-turn. This was a shorter S-turn, and this is the one where we're coming out and we have that wind coming from our right. So kind of like a cross headwind. And you can see that we've all slowed down here. Pretty much at a 30,000-foot view of this race, we were either lined out like this, or we were all looking at each other. However, the only thing I was looking to do was be able to finish with the pack. Earlier I mentioned that to be able to do that, I had concentrated on positioning, cornering, and not doing anything stupid. Well, I left one thing out: cadence. I've spoken in past videos about riding the fine line between aerobic and anaerobic death, and that applied toward long, sustained climbs, either at a race or a testosterone-filled group ride session. I was, however, finding that it was applying here. For whatever reason, as the speed increased, I would keep shifting to a harder and harder gear to get the job done. At a certain point, I would start to bog down a bit, and I would shift back down only if the speed allowed. This was actually happening quite often during this race. I didn't realize it till I'm putting this video together, but there were times like this where I'm at the butt end and I didn't know I was at the butt end. I just know there was a long line right in front of me. And a couple of those times, I was getting quite concerned. We're always wary as cyclists of dogs on the road, but what about geese? Other than the geese, this was a pretty safe race. Now, there was one time that I was quite surprised, like right here, guys coming. It doesn't seem that close right now, but no, wait, not those guys, this guy and then this guy, real close. Now, we were lined out for quite a while, We slowed down just a bit, and of course they took advantage of to get in a better position. No problem with that, but that woke me up. It was with 2 or 3 laps to go that I started thinking, I'm going to be able to make it. So I'm going to experiment a bit. I'm going to put myself under stress and then see if I can hang on with the counterattack, or something similar. Due to riding wheels toward the front, I found myself at the front, so I decided, okay, so I'll just keep this nice and steady. I pulled for about maybe half a mile. When it swung wide, there was no counter, and I got to place myself toward the front. Now we're heading into 2 laps to go. I neglected to mention that one of the reasons I was at the front taking that pull was that there was a group of 2 that were off. I didn't realize that until the motorcycle came by and said that they had 40 seconds on us. Now we just crossed 2 laps to go, and I decided to put in a little dig. Not to try and get away, but to keep the speed up, because Creative Blue, who had a man in the brake, was doing a good job blocking. But it soon became evident to me that no one was interested in chasing, that they were all going to settle in for the field sprint, for that 3rd place. About a third of a lap later, coming around this corner, I decided to have another dig. It's now about 1.5 laps to go. I thought Kevin Willets, Body Concepts, who was pulling, would jump right on my wheel, but they just let me go. At this point, I'm not looking back. What I am doing is I'm thinking that when these guys come screaming by, I got to do everything I can to hang on to them. And jumping ahead a little bit, scream by they did. So I'm a bit gassed right now, and I'm also looking for a place where I can just jump onto a wheel, but everybody's lined out and I really don't have any wheels to jump onto without making someone else crash. It was at this point I was starting to think, this is good, I've had a good race. But fortunately that changed quick enough to, I'm not dead yet. There's an awful lot of people that went by me. I'm almost doing 30 and I'm not on a wheel yet. Fortunately I had a little extra bit of protection because the wind is coming from the right, and I'm on. But no, the fun's not over yet. It's now 1 lap to go. I now put in an all or nothing attack. I am pretty confident that I'm not going to stay away 2 miles from this group and be able to finish 3rd place. I'm not worried about being able to hang on with them when they scream by me. All I care about is going as hard as I can for as long as I can before they catch me. It is interesting to note that many times throughout this breakaway, I was thinking to myself, boy, I wish I could ride faster. I was also hoping that the wind was affecting them like it was affecting me. When we received the bell at the final lap, the breakaway of 2, Rich Juarez Independence and Creative Blues Kevin Metcalf, were about a minute in front of us. And they stayed that way with Juarez taking the win. I'm officially caught and it's almost 3K to go. I'm now spent and there's a gap in front of me. But then I'm also thinking, I'm not dead yet. I'm able to get on those guys and I'm barely hanging on here. And I'm still not what I would call connected. I don't know how I'm still fighting, and I wish I had heart rate information. Another gap, and I just keep at it because I see they're starting to slow just a bit. And maybe they're not slowing at 32 miles an hour. We have that side wind, and once we curve this way, it's going to be a lot easier for me to hang on as it turns into more of a tail crosswind, and now this is going to be more of a tailwind. However, everyone's going for the sprint now. I get disconnected, and this is where I just sit up and go, this has been a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. Saturday coming up is another race, the Winchester Circuit Race. Okay, you know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.